Hi there, Bill Hitchcock. We just did a show yesterday and a quick 24-hour turnaround because I've got some information I want to get out to you as soon as possible. Hi, I'm Bill Hitchcock. Welcome to the program. What we're going to be going over today, as you may recall, yesterday we talked about the wind farms off the East Coast, particularly off of the coast of North Carolina, where the 11 states are forming together. They're involved with the wind farms in the Atlantic coast. They're getting together to form a committee to compensate recreational commercial fishermen for the wind farms. They don't say why. My guess was, or what I supposed was, that either one, you can't fish in those areas, or two, an adverse effect on the fish. So I sent out some emails and telephone calls I got, and an immediate response on that. We're going to talk about that. Also today, we're going to be talking about shrimp bycatch numbers. A lot of you guys throw out, well, there's 4.5 pounds per one or 20 pounds per one shrimp. Well, I got the actual numbers and the methodology. In addition, had someone ask about speckled trout release mortality rate. Well, we're going to cover that both on the commercial side and on the recreational side and the methodology. Please subscribe. I always forget to ask, but please subscribe to this channel. Now, before we get going, I want to show you something I discovered. As you know, we just had Ernesto, I think was the name of the storm that just breezed on about 1,000 miles off the coast of North Carolina. Big waves, a double red flag days were out. That means you can't get in the water, and towns and municipalities like Pine Knoll Shores were writing tickets to people if they had to bring you out of the water, come rescue you. Well, I discovered in our archives that I've got video of a yellow flag day and a red flag day. Let's go take a look at that real quick. Same location, 2 different days, obviously. Massive difference between a yellow flag day, which means, yeah, you can go out, just be careful. Green flag day is no worries. Purple flag day, there's something in the water you got to be careful of, a shark, man of war, something. Double red flag day means A red flag day means it's not advisable, but we can't stop you. So you see the 2 differences in the conditions with that. Also, I want to play you this video real quick. This is a program I'm excited to get out to you. It's about our rights. What are our rights and where do they come from, and how can we apply them, and how can you effectively create change by utilizing your rights? Here's a little brief, the intro to the program we're going to be doing next. Alrighty, you don't want to miss that one. We're going to concentrate a lot on towards the end on the North Carolina Constitution and what talks about hunting and fishing and things like that. One other thing, don't forget, when I'm doing this, it's August 21st. And don't forget, today the Marine Fisheries Commission is holding the meeting up in Raleigh at the Hilton up in Raleigh. Let me see if I got that somewhere. I don't know why I'm doing this. At the Hilton in Raleigh, please go. If you want to speak, you got 3 minutes. Please make an outline and please speak your mind. They do want to hear what you're talking about. All right, now let's get on to it. The Kitty Hawk wind lease. Let's put this up full screen. I got this from the Division of Marine Fisheries. It says vessels will not, well, let me stop. Let me come back here. Again, they're forming a committee. The 11 states involved with the offshore wind farms are forming a committee to compensate commercial and recreational fishermen because of the wind farms, but they don't say why. I guessed or supposed or tried to figure out that there could only be 2 reasons why. Either 1, you can't fish in those areas anymore, so they're going to compensate the fishermen, or 2, it's going to adversely affect fishing in those areas, and so they're going to compensate. don't know. But here's the reply I got from the Division of Marine Fisheries, North Carolina Division of Marine Fisheries. It says, vessels will not be prohibited from entering, transiting through, or approaching the lease area. There will not be restrictions on recreational or commercial fishing around the turbines. Vessels will not be allowed to tie off to the turbines, but they can come close to the turbines without making contact. Now, there will be periods while they're doing construction and whatnot that they will rope you off, so to speak. They won't let you in, but that's for obvious construction safety reason. It goes on to say it's anticipated, let's underline that word, anticipated, the turbines in the Kitty Hawk lease will attract black sea bass, jack snapper, and pelagic species such as mahi-mahi and tunas. Kitty Hawk Wind is currently developing a fisheries monitoring plan for pre- and post-construction and will meet with a DMF to review the plan and process designed to implement the fisheries monitoring research. I love the post. Well, once they've got them up there, what are you going to do? Whatever they say. So as more information about that comes out, we'll get on to it. Now, let's move on to shrimp bycatch. This is something I asked the Division of Marine Fisheries, and they responded quickly. Thank you very much, Tricia Smith. Shrimp bycatch, because folks have been for years, we're throwing out the number, this 4.5 pounds of fin fish for every 1 pound of shrimp caught. Well, I poo-pooed that or disproved that with this. Dr. Lewis Daniel, who was the director of the Division of Marine Fisheries, came up with that 4.5 pounds. He publicly apologized for it. Here's the transcript, which I read to you a month ago, and saying, no, that was a bad number. He said, why? And he told the Division of Marine Fisheries not to use it. But still, 10 years, that was back in 2013. Still, 10, 11 years later, people are still using that 4.5 pounds of bycatch for every 1 pound of shrimp caught. That's wrong. This is what the division said yesterday, August 20th, 2024. There is no accepted number or ratio of bycatch to shrimp. The ratio method overestimates bycatch and assumes a positive linear relationship between bycatch species and the targeted species, which is not the case. Just think about it, folks. You can't put one number universally, and here's why. Catches change during the course of the year. Water temperature, water salinity, all of these things affect catch and bycatch. You can't just use one number universally. Think about it if you say, well, we're going to be talking about speckled trout. If you're speckled trout fishing, different time of year, different catches, different survivability and mortality rates on the catch and release. So you can't use a single number. What they do use is the CPU, or the catch per unit effort method of estimating shrimp trawl bycatch, is the accepted method used by NOAA and CDAR. CDAR, oh, I don't have it written down here. I forgot what that stood for. But it says see Appendix 1 of Amendment 2 to the Shrimp FMP for a full write-up. Well, number one, let me show you what happened when I went to Amendment 2 to the Shrimp FMP. Went to the division website, started clicking all their buttons, saw the big shrimpy thing for the FMP, and when I finally got to the button to press to see the FMP, reload, broken link, yay. All right, so I went to the CDAR, and I apologize, I don't have it written down, I've forgotten what that stands for, to find out the methodology. So I went to their website. Guess what? God, see, you wonder why we get so frustrated sometimes. Went to CDAR, the little drop window, wanted to find shrimp. Guess what they don't have listed? Shrimp. So there's that. All right, let's move on to spotted sea trout discard mortality. This is what was written to me by Tricia Smith from the Division of Marine Fisheries yesterday. We're going to get into the FMP, but she says the stock assessment used an average recreational discard mortality rate of 10% and an average commercial discard mortality rate of 30%. Those estimates come from two studies conducted here in North Carolina. I've got the studies here by Jeff Gearhart, hook and line mortality study, and Blake Price and Jeff Gearhart, small mesh gillnet discard mortality study. One important note is that we were able to separate at-net mortality from discard mortality in the 2022 stock assessment. So the commercial 30% discard mortality rate only applies to fish that were released alive. Recreational dead discards far outweigh commercial dead discards, and I know the steam is coming through a lot of people's ears, but hang on. Though, because there are a lot of fish released in the recreational fishery and not many released in the commercial fishery. Well, yeah, remember, it was in the past week when we were talking about the fishery management plan for spotted sea trout that we found out, and it still blows my mind, on the recreational side, on average over a 32, 33 year period, you release 78% of your catch. In certain years like 2010, 2011, you're releasing like 93% of your catch. So you're going to have a lot more deaths. Why? Because the commercial fisherman, he keeps it unless it's illegal, undersized, what have you. They throw that over, and that's where they get their 30% mortality rate. Just because a fish is dead, a speckled trout is dead when they're pulling at, say, a net, doesn't mean it's not marketable. So that's not a dead discard, although that trout might be dead. He's dead in the box, which winds up being dead in your frying pan. So there's the difference. You got a release rate of 78% over a 32, 33 year period. Phenomenal. Your rate, you're going to have more dead discards simply because you're putting back more fish. So that's why you have the greater dead discard. Now, on to the study, the discard mortality. Bear with me, folks. There's going to be some reading here. Oops, here we go. I don't know why I even mess with this thing. Bing bong. I'll leave it there. A study in North Carolina and one in Florida have examined spotted sea trout discard mortality associated with commercial small mesh gill nets. Spotted sea trout total discard mortality were between 66 and 90% depending on mesh size. Whereas Murphy saw average discard mortalities between 10% and 69%. Now listen to this. This is very important. Depending on temperature and soak time. Those are two things that affect the mortality rate. We're going to get into a third here real soon. Let's see. Additional from the Division Fisheries Independent Gill Net Survey show that time of year may be a significant factor affecting discard mortality because water temperature. Let's see. Water temperature, by the way, I'm going to make a little stop here. It's kind of funny to me. In August, September, we hear about fish kills. This is not associated with any type of fishing. You know, thousands of fish are dead in the news. Almost every single year we hear this. It used to be they'd blame it. It's on Listeria. It's on that fish-eating disease because look, the fishy's got sores. Several things. One, in August, September, the water temperatures are the warmest. You can get 100 degrees back in these little off the Neuse River, off little creeks and bends and things like that. Fish like little menhaden, referred to as peanuts, get trapped in these zero oxygen zones and they die. You'll hear fish reports, the news reports, 1,000 fish, 5,000 fish, 10,000 fish are dead. Well, my desktop here is 4 feet by 2.5 feet, I think it is. You could put that 10,000 fish just right on top of my desktop. They're like that big. That's why they're called peanuts. And the reason why some, and there's little spots and little croakers, but they're little. It's a natural occurring event. It has nothing to do with Listeria, and why these fish have sores on them is they're stressed, they're distressed, and they're susceptible to disease. They can't breathe. Again, 90 to 100 degree water temperature with zero oxygen, and they're trapped. Tide goes out, well, in the Neuse River, you're not going to get a tide, except for a wind tide. You're not going to get a lunar tide. But they get trapped and they die. So that's very, very important. And they're alluding to that or speaking directly to that right here in this FMP. It goes on, recreational release mortality is likely a significant source of mortality on spotted sea trout in North Carolina since type B2 releases, unobserved or reported live releases, have accounted for an increasing percentage of the overall catch in recent years. Yes, Remember the 2 shows ago when we were talking about speckled trout, I said in the 90s, and the F&P proved it, in the 90s there was a different mindset. It was catch and keep. So the majority of the fish in the 90s, was, with the exception of 1 year, were keeps, not releases. Then we hit the year 2000 and boom, there's a mindset change. It's release to the point where 93% of the recreational speckled trout caught released on average over the 33-year period, 78%. And I'm going to keep harping on that because I think it's phenomenal. Now, 2 of the studies were conducted by the division in North Carolina waters. Gearhart found a hooking mortality rate at 15%, whereas Brown arrived at a rate of 25%. Now listen to this. It was noted that Brown was limited geographically to the Neuse River and most likely had an inflated release mortality rate due to low dissolved oxygen in the holding pens, resulting in deaths not associated with hooking. Again, this is on the recreational side. In comparison, Gearhart covered a wider geographic range in North Carolina at river low salinity, Outer Banks high salinity sites from Pamlico, Core, Roanoke Sounds. Gearhart suggested, I really like this, I got it yellow highlighted. He says, Gearhart suggested applying separate release mortality rates to fish caught in low versus high salinity areas instead of using the overall release mortality rate, which potentially may overestimate release mortality. Again, this is on the recreational side. Different times of the year, different water temperatures will create different survivabilities. Here they're also talking about salinity. And not to even make mention about how was that speckled trout caught. Was it with natural bait, cut bait, with a J hook? Was it caught with a green grub with a single hook? Was it caught with a mirror lure with 2 treble hooks? So was it gut hooked? Was it using circle hooks? All of these things affect survivability of the fish. And this is why 2 shows ago I was highly encouraging you to, if you want to get involved with a tagging program, contact the Division of Marine Fisheries, because you must go through a training program. They stopped tagging 20, 30 years ago because people were just butchering the fish, didn't know where to stick the tag, they were dropping the fish, fish was out of the water too long, squeezing the fish, his little fishy eyeballs are sticking out. So call the Division of Marine Fisheries. Now finally on this, let's see, the total catch was weighted, again we're talking about recreational, the total catch was weighted by, if I skipped something, oh I did, for the current stock assessment, right now the stock assessment for speckled trout, separate rates were applied to fish caught in low versus high salinity areas based on Marine Recreational Information Program data from 91 to 2019. The total catch was weighted by the unadjusted mortality rates for low 19.4% and high 7.3% salinity sites, as reported by Gearhart, and divided by the combined total catch to obtain an overall release mortality rate of 10%. So there you have it. Dead discards from speckled trout, mortality rates, bycatch. They don't use a number. There is not a set number. Get that, please, people, in your head. They don't use a set 4.5 pounds, 20 pounds, 10 pounds, 1 pound. They don't use a set number. It's off of the CPU method that NOAA and CDAR uses. Boy, I feel stupid for not writing that down. But anyway, go on and let you go. Please subscribe. I really appreciate the comments. We're getting ready to do a comment show as well. Don't forget, we're getting ready to do a program, a big program about your rights and how to use them in regards to the fisheries and a whole lot more. Email me, Bill Hitchcock at mail.com, Bill Hitchcock at mail.com, Bill Hitchcock at mail.com. Love to hear from you. Emails are always well thought out. And I will leave you with this. Please, if you got a fact, a figure, a science that proves me wrong, or just send it to me. Let me take a look at it. Let's read it on air. Let's do it. This is not about being right. This is not a mutual admiration society. I'm not here to make friends, to get buddies, to collect, people or even views for that matter. It's real easy to do that. There's people out there that are telling you what you want to hear and not telling you the facts. Facts hurt sometimes. I'm just after the truth. That's it. So give me an email. Let me know what you're thinking. And all right, one more last thing. If you happen to see one of these shows on, say, Facebook or another website, and you post comments, there's a chance I won't see it at all. Please go to if you want to comment to me, send me an email or go to the YouTube channel, post there. That's where I'll see it. Enough of me. I'm Bill Hitchcock. Until next time, see ya.